Some lives are so remarkable, they feel like they were lived by two completely different people. Today, we're going to dive into the story of a man who was somehow both a feared destroyer and a beloved smiling icon. This is the incredible story of the reinvention of George Foreman. And this, right here, is the heart of the whole thing. On one side, you have the destroyer, a terrifying champion who just dominated everyone with brute force. And on the other side, the patriarch, this joyful, warm figure who won over the entire world. And the craziest part? We're talking about the exact same guy. Okay, so to really understand the man he became, we have to go back and meet the man he was. Let's look at the rise and the shocking fall of the first George Foreman. His rise to the top was just insane. Think about it. In 1968, he's standing on an Olympic podium, gold medal around his neck. 5 years later, poof, he's the heavyweight champion of the world. And by 74, he's in the ring with Muhammad Ali for one of the biggest fights of all time. The man seemed absolutely unstoppable. 6. And you really can't overstate what this number meant. Joe Frazier wasn't just some guy. He was a legend, an undefeated champion. And Foreman didn't just beat him, he took him apart. Knocked him down 6 times in less than 2 rounds. This was an absolute demolition, and it's where that fearsome reputation came from. And then came the rumble in the jungle. See, Muhammad Ali knew he couldn't out-punch Foreman. Nobody could, so he out-thought him. He came up with the rope-a-dope, just leaning back on the ropes, letting Foreman punch himself into exhaustion. For the very first time, the indestructible force was beaten. And just like that, the aura of invincibility, it was gone. After another loss in 1977, something just snapped. Something changed. Foreman had this incredibly powerful religious experience right there in the dressing room. And he didn't just retire. He walked away from his entire identity, literally trading in his fame and his boxing gloves for a Bible. So that kicks off this totally different chapter in his life. For a solid decade, the boxing world heard, well, nothing. George Foreman had simply vanished. For 10 years, he wasn't George Foreman the boxer, he was Pastor George. He opened a youth center, served his community in Houston, and dedicated himself to his faith. The destroyer was now a man of peace. As far as anyone was concerned, his boxing story was done, finished. But then life happens, right? His youth center ran into financial trouble, and it was on the verge of closing. So Foreman decided he had to do the one thing he knew how to do to make money. He was coming back. And the world just laughed. People literally laughed out loud. He was 38, he was a grandfather, he was a lot heavier, and he was cracking jokes at press conferences. This was not the silent, menacing force they remembered. Everyone wrote him off as a novelty act. Absolutely no one took him seriously. But here's the thing. George just kept fighting, and he kept winning. And he eventually earned himself one last impossible shot at the title. This was it. His one last chance to reclaim a dream that everyone, and I mean everyone, thought was dead and buried. And get this, when he walked into that ring, he was wearing the exact same red trunks from that devastating loss to Ali all those years ago. He wasn't just fighting his opponent that night, he was fighting the ghost of his own past. And for most of the fight, it really looked like the critics were right. The younger champion, Michael Moorer, he was just too fast. He was picking Foreman apart, round after round, just piling on the points. You could just feel the dream slipping away. But they all forgot one thing about a fighter like George Foreman. Power is the last thing to go. And after 9 rounds of taking a beating, he saw an opening. He threw one short, perfect right hand. And that was it. The champion went down. 45. At 45 years old, George Foreman had done what everybody said was impossible. He became, and still is, the oldest heavyweight champion in the history of boxing. The comeback wasn't a joke. It was one of the greatest stories of second chances the world of sports has ever seen, period. So in the end, his legacy became so much bigger than just boxing, right? He's not just the oldest champ. He became this hugely successful, beloved entrepreneur. But more than anything, he became a living, breathing symbol. Proof that it is never, ever too late to reinvent yourself, to chase down an old dream, and maybe this time win with joy instead of fear. And that's really the big takeaway from all of this. Foreman's story is incredible, for sure, but its real power is that it kind of holds a mirror up to all of us. It makes you stop and ask yourself, what dream, what second chance is still out there waiting for you?